All right, so let's jump right in. Today, we're going to break down a term that you hear a lot in conversations about modern India, Modiism. We're going to explore how one specific source, called Modiism, the evolution of a national vision, actually defines this ideology.
So, let's get right to the heart of it. What is Modiism? Is it really just a label for one person's political style, or does this source material we're digging into define it as something much bigger? Let's take a look.
Well, the source we're examining gets straight to the point. It makes the case that Modiism isn't about any one individual, but is actually a distinct philosophy, one that's really centered on a specific idea of how to govern and what public service means.
And here you have it, the core of that definition. According to the text, it's an ideology all about action. It's built on these key pillars: Jan Seva, which means public service; Antyodaya, the principle of uplifting the very last person in society, making sure no one gets left behind; and this driving mantra of collective, unified effort.
The source then kind of zooms out and tries to place Modiism on the world stage. It acknowledges these other big ideologies that we all know, like capitalism and communism. It suggests that, while they all have their own strengths, none of them have really, truly succeeded in elevating all of humanity. And so, in this view, Modiism is presented as a different kind of path toward that really ambitious goal.
So, the natural question is, where does an ideology like this even come from? Well, to understand its foundations, the source takes us way back to the formative years and the early life experiences of Narendra Modi himself.
And the story starts in a small village in India. The text makes a really crucial point here. It frames his family's economic struggles not as some kind of disadvantage, but as the main catalyst, the thing that really shaped his worldview from a super young age.
This railway platform tea stall, it's portrayed as this incredible, unconventional classroom. It was right here, the source says, that he got a front row seat to the sheer diversity of India. He's observing everyone from regular travelers to soldiers, and this experience gave him a kind of early, real-world education in the life of the nation.
So you can really see how the source brings it all together, right? It's like a three-part formula that it says forged his worldview. You've got this combination of real-world observation, philosophical inspiration he got from reading Swami Vivekananda, and the discipline from the RSS. It's this mix that supposedly created this drive to work for the collective good, not just for himself.
But then there was this really interesting fork in the road in his youth. The text talks about a time when he actually left home, seeking a life of spiritual asceticism. But as the story goes, he was advised that his true calling wasn't in some secluded monastery, but out in the world, serving society head-on. A really pivotal moment of redirection.
Okay, so you have this personal philosophy, this worldview, but how does that actually turn into a political career? Well, the source lays out a very clear, very steady progression, taking him from grassroots activism all the way to the highest office in the country.
And this timeline here really maps out that whole journey. It kicks off with that grassroots organizing in the RSS, then it shifts into party politics with the BJP, which leads to a long run as the chief minister of Gujarat, and then of course it all culminates in him becoming the prime minister of India in 2014. It's a path that really stretched over decades of work.
So what did all this philosophy actually look like in practice? Well, according to the source, these principles of Modiism were applied directly to governing. It points to his time as chief minister, talking about the rapid development in Gujarat, and then to his role as prime minister, highlighting a major focus on big institutional reforms, all aimed at making the government work more efficiently. And according to this source, everything we've talked about, the personal history, the political journey, it's all building towards one single long-term vision. It's this huge goal for India, and it has a very specific deadline, the year 2047, which will mark 100 years of India's independence. So here's what the source lays out as the ultimate aims of this ideology. The vision is for India not just to become a fully developed nation itself, but to then step into the role of a global guide, to lead the world towards a future of universal prosperity, where everyone functions like one big harmonious family. Now, the source makes a very specific and very crucial point about how it believes this 2047 vision can actually happen. It says this goal depends on three conditions: a strong sense of nationalism, what it calls Sanatani Hindu rule, which refers to governance based on eternal Hindu principles, and a population of fully awakened nationalists. And that's really the final piece of the puzzle here. The text ties everything together, from the tea stall all the way to the Prime Minister's office, and it presents this entire framework, including that vision for 2047 and its prerequisites, as the very essence of Modiism. So there you have it, That's how this one particular source explains the ideology of Modiism. It kind of leaves us with a bigger question to think about, doesn't it? How much can a nation's entire political path be shaped by the life story and personal vision of a single leader? That's all for this explainer.